We've talked on the YouTube channel a number of times, guys, about Mass Effect, the past, the present, and the future of the Mass Effect franchise. And you guys can check all those videos here on the YouTube channel. But in this last segment of the show, I want to talk about the top 5 things that we want in Mass Effect 4. That's been kind of the real talking point here, guys, is the future of the Mass Effect franchise and kind of where is it headed. So Mass Effect 4, guys, this is a game that has not been confirmed as of yet. It's a game that we are hoping to see at some point or another, probably sooner rather than later, maybe after Dragon Age comes out, the new Dragon Age game, or whatever the case might be. I think a lot of us are speculating on this next title. And what I wanted to go ahead and do is the top 5 things that we want in Mass Effect 4. When I say we, guys, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts here and my opinions. Some of you may share similar opinions. Some of you may not. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below what you guys want to see in Mass Effect 4. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 1 for me, guys, is I think that what we've all learned from Andromeda, which is the most recent addition to the Mass Effect franchise, I think we can all agree that Andromeda, even though it was an interesting take, it was kind of a risky move for just the developer, the publishers involved, everyone, to kind of take a risk there with Mass Effect Andromeda. I actually enjoyed the game overall. There was obviously flaws and such within the game. However, I enjoyed it for what it was, but the vast majority of you who in the fan base at large didn't really enjoy it. So with that, my first thing that I want is I want Mass Effect 4 to kind of carry on from where the trilogy ended. Now, it can kind of be a different narrative and such, but I think that they need to kind of explain some things, maybe what happened at the end of Mass Effect 3, and kind of, not that we have to play a Shepard, but I think that we just need maybe some questions answered, and that kind of can move into the next segment of this narrative and of this story. So with number 1, I think that they should go back to, the core here of what made Mass Effect so great with that original trilogy and kind of continue that moving forward, maybe following shortly after the events of Mass Effect 3. Coming in at number 2 for me, guys, is I would really like to explore more worlds. So there's been a lot of exploration within the Mass Effect universe, but I think now that this game would be on like the Xbox Series X and the PS5, I think that there's more opportunity, obviously with the graphics and all of those things, to be, taken up a notch at the very least. But I want to even explore more worlds. I feel that after playing Andromeda, you get this sense that this is something huge. This isn't just this is like Star Wars huge. It's like Star Trek huge or StarCraft huge. Like there's tons of planets, galaxies and everything that to be explored here. And so for me, at least, I want to explore more worlds. I think that's something I'd really like. Just explore more planets and have that open world setting, obviously, and being able to have things to do on those different planets along the journey. Kind of like if you think of like No Man's Sky, you think of games like that where it's just like there's so much to do. I'd love to see something like that in Mass Effect 4. Coming in at number 3, guys, is to take some risk. So once again, getting back to Andromeda, there was obviously a huge risk here with this game getting made, where it was going to be, kind of had nothing really to do with the original trilogy. But I really want to see the risk taken in the player decisions. Now, look, Mass Effect 3 had some very, at the end of the game especially, with some of the decisions that you make, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of uncertainty, and there's, a lot of people in the fan base didn't really know what they thought of it. However, the way you have to look at it, guys, is that got people talking. That got all of us talking as a community, and we kind of recognize the original 3 games as this like masterpiece almost, right? So I think doing that again, not necessarily elevating it, but doing that again, having where there's, more, player decisions, but having it where there's maybe a little even more risk, or maybe equal amounts of risk with each decision that you're making along the journey. And for it to all make sense in the very end, I think it's going to be a challenge, but I think that is something that could be really special in this title. And then coming in at number 4 for me, guys, is multiplayer and co-op. I've always said this, having, more ways than one to connect with the franchise, whether you're talking from a single player campaign perspective to co-op campaign, to having co-op missions, to having multiplayer, having a full package to justify paying the $60 price tag, I think is really important. So I would love to see multiplayer as well as co-op. I think that this is Mass Effect 4 will be a game that absolutely should be able to easily include having, multiplayer modes as well as co-op modes and like co-op missions and such. I think it could be something really, special moving into Mass Effect 4 on the next gen hardware with the updated graphics. And when we look at the gaming landscape as a whole, more and more people are expecting there to be like multiplayer and such. I mean, even look at a game like The Last of Us Part 2 that is more so known as a campaign, right? A single player story. However, it has multiplayer elements to it. So Last of Us 1 had, factions, and Last of Us Part 2, it announced at first that it wasn't even going to have multiplayer. But then, when they got the backlash, people wanted that because they want more ways to come back to the franchise and back to the game. They're adding it later on after launch, obviously. And so what I'm getting at here is Mass Effect could take full advantage of going ahead and adding multiplayer and co-op, even if it's after the single player story comes out. I just think it's really important that they do that to create a full package to bring people back to the game after they beat it. That's just what I think at the end of the day. And that leads me into number 5, guys, which is free-to-play elements. And so that's going to be a little bit controversial for some of you, but when I look at games like Call of Duty Warzone, when I look at Fortnite, when you look at Apex, when you look at all these different games, whether you're talking Battle Royale or you're talking just, shooters, Valorant, and other games, when there's free-to-play elements, that brings in a lot of people. And so what I'm getting at here is if Mass Effect 4, I'm not saying the whole game is free-to-play, I'm saying that the multiplayer elements are maybe free to play, or the co-op elements are free to play, so that it gets more people, more eyeballs on it, more people streaming, more people making content on YouTube, more people talking about the universe, which obviously will help continue building the franchise and have more games made over time, most likely, as long as the game's good. What I'm getting at, though, guys, is free to play. At first it was thought of to be, okay, this is a really cool concept, but it's probably unsustainable. But now we're seeing so many AAA titles doing it. And now we see that, it's becoming widely accepted, and it's something that people are starting to expect now out of certain games. Now, I'm not saying that, Mass Effect 4 is going to have free-to-play elements. Most likely it won't. However, it is a want for me. I think even just having the multiplayer aspects to be, free-to-play so that more and more people can at least try it, that would be something really special in my opinion. And this is a big IP, guys. You get more and more people and more eyeballs on this game. It's going to grow the fan base. It's going to grow the franchise in a major way. And I would love to hear from you guys what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about my top 5 things that I want in Mass Effect 4? What are your top 5 things? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Mass Effect 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.